Why must logistics SMEs fail before they ever get hacked? Today we are going to talk about cyber governance, the missing foundations of cybersecurity for logistics SMEs. Let's start with the misconceptions. When people hear about cybersecurity, they think of hackers, antiviruses, firewalls. But after studying cyber risk and working with logistics SMEs, I realized that most businesses really fail because they didn't buy another security tool, but leadership and never established governance. Let's first understand what governance is actually about. Governance is the brain of the business. Governance is the leadership. Governance is the policies, the strategies, decision making, the leadership in the business. If there's no governance, everything else will be into chaos. So why I say that governance is the brain, these are the decision makers. They determine the direction of the business. They determine what is going to be done. They set the business priorities, business goals, policies. They establish company policies. They integrate vendors and all of this. So without proper governance, all of the operations will fail. To build operational resilience, we need to understand what systems that we depend on, the criticality of them, what are the priorities, what is our risk appetite. This is all determined by the governance body. They understand the business very well. They give the rules and they give the strategy for the business. This is where cyber risk also comes into play. That if the leadership doesn't understand cyber risk, is there's high chances that when operation disruptions occur, the business is not going to survive because they don't know what risks are facing their business. So governance is about decision making, leadership, accountability, priorities, and knowing the risk appetite. They give us the strategy of the business. They show us how we should operate to achieve business goals. Let's have a fiction of a logistics company without governance. Let's take an example. We have a company called Eastgate Logistics. This company has 40 employees, has GPS fleet, they have third-party IT, they have cloud transport management system, uh, they have a warehouse, they have also WhatsApp coordination, they use Microsoft. Then, of all of these systems that they have, we are going to ask questions. First of all, we shall ask who owns cyber risk. They depend on different systems, but among each of these systems has its own risks. In a cyber security perspective, we ask who owns the cyber risk, who is responsible for something that goes wrong in that section. You need to be able to answer these questions. Who owns the cyber risk? You have, we say that they have a third party IT, they have a cloud transport management system. So the second question comes in asking who decides the vendor to work with, who chooses the vendor, who's responsible for that, and what you depend on when choosing a certain vendor, that we are going to work with this company, we are going to work with this vendor, we are going to work with this cloud provider. What do you depend on selecting those third party vendors or the software that you are going to use? Do you consider the risks that come with it? Do you only see only the outcomes? You need to also consider all of this. And who is responsible for selecting the vendor that you are going to work with? And then comes the third question we ask. We said we have the company has GPS fleet.
So we ask a question: if this system, the GPS, goes down, what do we do in such a scenario? Are we going to just lose our fleet? Are we going to just stop operations? What do we do to regain operations? Remember, our business is about, our goal is about business priorities, and the business priorities, one of them is customer, maintaining our customers and clients. So, what do we do in such a kind of scenario? Do we have a backup plan? Do we have a money strategy? How do we resolve this issue? How do we handle such incidents? You need to have uh, a well-tested documentation of this. Then this brings us to our fourth question, and our first question is: if this has happened, we have got our GPS, GPS is down. This means that we are going to have a difficulties in delivering our services to the clients or to the customers. So here comes a question: if such happens that customers have received delays, who talks to their customer? Remember, our priority is maintaining customer trust, preventing customer churn. So who talks to the customers? We need to also define the person responsible for this. This is all the role of the governance. I'm showing you a company without cyber governance. If they couldn't answer this question, this shows that they don't have proper governance. So this moves us to the fifth question. And the fifth question is: who restores operations? We have seen all of these systems that we depend on and where they can fail. So, who restores the operations in case a disruption has occurred? Do you have an instant response team? Do you have a well documented and tested response plan? And who does what when something goes wrong? Do you have a selected team to do this specific task or no? You need to consider all of these things. So we have had 5 questions. We asked: who talks to the customer, who owns cyber risk, who's responsible for choosing the vendor to work with, if one of our systems goes down, what do we do, and who restores operations. If you don't have answers for this, that is a governance failure.